We have a lot of cool Crash information to go over today thanks to a brand new gameplay reveal trailer that got launched yesterday, giving us our first look at Tropy, Uka Uka, Playable Dingodile, new skins for Crash and Coco, as well as an inverted mode, and much more. Hi there everyone, welcome, I am MisterBo, and as I just mentioned, we have a load of brand new gameplay to break down. In fact, 5 minutes and 20 seconds worth of brand new footage to take a look at, plus we also have some brand new information coming from an Activision blog post, as well as an Activision press release. However, before we do get into this gameplay trailer, if you enjoyed this mega video, then be sure to click that like button because it really does help get this video seen by more people. And if you aren't already, then subscribe because there's going to be a lot more Crash 4 content leading up to the launch and beyond. So as we begin the trailer, we first get to see how Crash and Coco are going to be traveling to different dimensions. You can see this rift open up and they fall through, and then Crash kind of like checks himself to make sure he's all there in one piece. The animation in this game is superb. It really fits the style of Crash, and in this gameplay trailer they do say that they are taking inspiration from the classic cartoons like Looney Tunes that Crash Bandicoot was kind of based on back in the day. Now we have some new gameplay of some levels we've kind of already seen. This is very similar to the Dino Dash level that we saw last week. But then we get our first very look at Uka Uka, and well, he's looking like Uka Uka. They're doing an amazing job with the character designs in this game, staying very faithful to the original games, but just making them a little bit more modern and fitting in with this overall theme that they're going with. Along with getting our first look at Uka Uka, we also get a glimpse of how Uka Uka, Tropy, and Cortex actually managed to escape the time prison. As you can see, a giant rift opens up. We can see Uka Uka in the bottom right, and obviously they head through. Now what we don't know is if Tropy and Cortex actually managed to open this themselves, or some other greater force opened it, allowing them to escape. Obviously that's something we'll learn through playing this game. Speaking of Tropy and Cortex, here is our official look at Tropy, and he is looking really good. Now we did get a leaked image of Tropy, Dingodile, Torna, Cortex, Crash and Coco a while ago, and a lot of people weren't happy with the design of Tropy, but as I had mentioned back in that video, it was most likely just an artistic choice for the concept art, and that seems to be the case. We then get a full body shot of Tropy, and it's very clear to see that the concept art that we saw from Toys for Bob almost a year ago now, which was then removed, of Tropy as well as Dingodile, Embryo, is indeed for this game because Tropy's design matches up exactly with what we saw from that concept art. So does that mean we're going to be seeing Embryo in this game? Well, it's most likely at this point. So originally when I was breaking down the trailer, I didn't notice this because it's only visible for like a frame or two, but I was going back through to get an image for the thumbnail and noticed this. Uka Uka is on the floor as Cortex and Tropy are making their way through the rift. This seems to match up with why we don't see Uka Uka with Tropy and Cortex in the later footage. It seems as though maybe Tropy and Cortex finally had enough of Uka Uka. You can see Cortex has like a wooden stick or a bone in his hand. Maybe they just decided to team up, knock out Uka Uka, which is why he's laying on the floor, and then make their way through the portal, and then maybe Tropy goes on to backstab Cortex. So I thought I'd just add that in because it's super interesting to see, and maybe gives us more hints as to where the story is going. Now we then get some glimpses at this big old machine, and we don't really know what this is at this current time. It seems like it's a device that Tropy has put together, and we'll talk about why Tropy is actually probably the main villain of this game and not Cortex. It seems like Cortex, Crash and Coco are going to be kind of working together to stop Tropy this time around, but we'll talk more about that near the end of the video. Now I would assume this device allows Tropy to maybe travel through different dimensions and different time periods, but that's all speculation on my part. We then get a look at some new levels we have yet to see, and this level looks super hard. We've got these rotating canisters that we have to jump along to get to. Most of the levels we see here are very reminiscent of like old levels we saw in the original games, but with a new take. So this is kind of like those sewer levels we saw in Crash 1, but obviously a lot more fleshed out and a load more environmental storytelling. Moving through the trailer a bit, we get to see some levels and some gameplay that we've basically already seen from previous trailers, but then we arrive to what looks to be the beginning of the game. This is Crash sitting on his couch. Aku Aku wakes him up, and well, there's quite a few things to break down here. Firstly, again, this is the beginning of the level, so this is Insanity Beach. This is where the whole game is going to be starting off from. We can see a guitar on the left, we have his couch, we have a surfboard which actually has the tribal tattoos that Crash had in Crash of Titans and Mind of a Mutant. We can see this little TV, we can see a sombrero, we can see some bongos down on the right, and then over on the right we also have a fridge, and if you look closely you can see on the fridge we have some fridge magnets that spell out Crunch. Now we don't know if this is just a nice little Easter egg, a nice little nod to Crunch, or maybe this will have some bigger implications later down the line in the game. Maybe Crunch will make a return. I actually did a video a couple of days ago talking about whether or not we'd see Crunch and characters like Nina Cortex make the return in Crash 4, so if you want to go check that out, there'll be a link in the description below or in the top right hand corner now. We then get a brief glimpse of the Insanity Beach level and it looks really cool. Again, the amount of detail they are packing into these levels is just crazy. We also get a look at this section of, I assume, possibly the same level, but it's really giving me Tiger Temple vibes at the moment from Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, and in fact we'll see a lot of levels that have similar vibes to some of the levels we saw in Nitro Fueled. Perhaps they were teasers for this game, or maybe it's just a coincidence. We then see more of the Rustland inspired levels, which is where you're going to be fighting Engine. It has been confirmed that Beanox are helping support this game, so I wonder if Beanox were like, hey, let's put in Rustlands, let's put in Drive Through Danger, which we'll get to in a minute, and have them as sort of subtle teasers to what is coming up in the future game. I think that's the most likely case, seeing as they were probably well into the development of Crash 4, and they were the two final tracks to be added into Nitro Fueled. We then get more of this like big ghost chase that we saw in the original reveal for this game, and we don't really know who this character is. I'm sure that's going to be explained, but I feel like this is pretty early on in the actual game. We then see some more gameplay of Coco, which we only saw a little bit in that original B-roll footage. We get to see some more sliding action, which looks super fun, and then we get to one of the coolest parts of this trailer, and that is the skins that Crash and Coco were going to be able to unlock in this game via completing different challenges and collecting gems. There are no microtransactions in this game, and as they state in this trailer, there will never be any microtransactions in this game. All of these skins, except for two which I'll go into, are all available in the actual game via these different challenges. Obviously, there's the tubular skins that you get for pre-ordering the game digitally for Crash and Coco, but then there will also be two additional skins that will be exclusive to PlayStation members. And you can see them on screen. They are the Musupus Erectus and the Serious Upgrade, and there's one for Crash, one for Coco for each of those. Going back to the trailer though, let's take a look at some of the skins we're going to be able to use. So firstly, we have the classic Biker Crash that was obviously first introduced in Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. We then have Chicken Crash Bandicoot, and at this point, it isn't really a Crash Bandicoot game if there isn't at least one chicken in the game. It then moves pretty quick, but we can see we have a pirate-themed Crash here. We have a Japanese sort of ninja-themed Crash here. We have an artist Crash here. We then have a futuristic-looking Crash, a clown-looking Crash, a dinosaur Crash, and then a like super neon rave Crash. Now it seems to be from the levels that we've seen that each of these skins are from a different sort of theme that we're going to. So obviously the dinosaur Crash is from those Dino Dash levels, the painter Crash is from the sort of carnival levels that we've been seeing. It's been confirmed we're going to be getting a scuba diving Crash, obviously from those sort of coral reef water levels we saw in the original trailer. We don't really have a number for how many different themed levels and how many skins we're getting at this current time, but it is cool to see that there is going to be a reward for going after all these collectibles and 100%ing this game, and they even teased that some of these skins might be a little bit hard to get. We also have a set of skins for Coco as well. We have this sort of unicorn onesie skin. We then have an engine rocket head skin for Coco, which is pretty cool. We have a Captain Coco skin, and then we have another raving futuristic neon skin for Coco as well. And you can then see some gameplay of that skin in action, and we get a glimpse at the level that I am super excited to play. It looks like a Japanese themed level. After having just played Ghost of Tsushima, it gets me even more hyped to play this level. I think it's going to be super cool, and we don't really know how villains are going to work in terms of different themes and stuff like that, but if there is a villain tied to each sort of world we go to, I think the Komodo Bros, or maybe even someone like Pinstripe, would be a pretty cool character to be taking up residence in this dimension. We then get a look at someone that looks fairly familiar if you've played Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, and that is because this is basically a version of Drive-Thru Danger. Now, if you didn't play Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, Drive-Thru Danger was the last track added into that game back in February, and it was a drive-thru set in space next to Gasmoxia. Now, we've already seen some levels that are very reminiscent of Gasmoxia, and in those levels we saw some enemies that look exactly like Oxide but in blue. And now just seeing this level, I definitely think Drive-Thru Danger was a tease at this location, and I think we're either going to be seeing Oxide or maybe even Velo at wherever this is as a cool little Easter egg, or maybe even a boss. We then get some information about each of the masks, and we already kind of know all of that, but we get a glimpse of how we're going to be getting our first mask, which is Lanny Lowly, and as we can see, he's sort of sleeping on this podium, and then Crash goes ahead and picks him up, wakes him up, and I reckon that is then going to lead into that giant boss chase that we've been seeing in all the trailers. And it's kind of weird, while we're seeing all this brand new gameplay and we kind of know what the story is about, we still don't really know what the story is about. Yes, we know Crash is going to be hopping to different dimensions and times, and yes, Tropy and Cortex have managed to break free, but apart from that, we don't really know much else. Now, in this section of the trailer, we do get a tease about the fourth mask that we don't really know anything about at the moment. All we know now is his name, and that is Akanu. Now, I will be putting up a video later next week talking about what the ability of this mask might be, because the name actually gives us some hints. We then get a clip of some gameplay which looks to be on the sort of Gasmoxia level that we saw previously, and as you can see, they have reverted back the Nitro crates to actually saying Nitro on them instead of them just having a giant N on them, so that is a nice addition. And obviously your feedback to what we see in the trailers makes a difference, because a lot of people were like, hey, I prefer it saying Nitro than just having an N on it, and Toys for Bob has gone in and changed that. We then get a really cool clip of a level which is very reminiscent to the ones we saw in Crash 1. It looks like we're in Cortex's castle. As you can see up on the walls over on the left, we have a painting which I assume is probably Cortex's mum, and on the right we have one which I assume is his dad. But if you look in the background, you can see Cortex on these monitors, again just like we saw in the original Crash games. You'd be walking through the levels and Cortex would be on these monitors basically taunting you. And then I think kind of the biggest reveal in this trailer is the fact that yes, Dingodile is indeed playable. We had kind of speculated and it kind of been rumored ever since we saw the original concept art leak, and it has now been confirmed. However, Dingodile has put away his life of villainy. He set up a nice little diner, Dingo's Diner, but unfortunately it gets blown up and he falls through a rift, and now his journey is getting his diner back. It's been confirmed he's put down his flamethrower and instead he's picked up this sort of new jet gun where he can suck and push things, and that plays into his gameplay. You can see him destroying crates, you can see him picking up TNT barrels, you can see him using it to sort of propel him up as a jump, and I'm loving the look of this level. It really looks sort of like a bayou swamp. I think it fits really well with Dingodile, and I can't wait to see what else we get from Dingodile's gameplay, what his journey is going to be, and also what other characters are we going to see playable in this game? If that leaked image is sort of representing who we're going to be playing as, we can probably expect Torna as a playable character and maybe even Tropy as well. And then the final bit of this trailer is the brand new game modes, the inverted modes that you can play back through all the levels, but they'll have a slightly different twist to them this time around. So some levels might get you collecting bumper berries, so not Wumpa fruit, bumper berries, to paint the world as you're going through it. Some will have the levels just completely inverted, some will put the levels underwater and you'll be going really slow, others will give the levels a cartoony look, some will give the levels an old-timey look and the camera will actually speed up as you're going through. These are some really cool additions, and I think this confirms to us that we're probably not getting 100 levels as some people had speculated. If you weren't aware, there was a marketing email which I believe was sent out by GameStop to different people, and it had mentioned that Crash Bandicoot 4 would feature 100 levels of play. Now, a lot of people had assumed that meant 100 levels to play, but I think it's clear now we're probably not getting 100 levels, and the 100 levels of play take into consideration these new ways to replay through the levels. Obviously, this is going to give us a ton of replayability and is probably going to make this game last even longer. It is crazy to see how much content they are putting in a Crash Bandicoot game like this. I think this is well and truly the return of Crash Bandicoot properly, and I can't wait to see where they go in the future with Crash. It is being rumored that we're going to be getting a PvP game next year. Could that be some kind of Crash Bandicoot minigame, kind of like a Crash Bash reboot? with this brand new design. Maybe it's another new kart racer, but I think that's probably a little bit too soon. Whilst we're getting a look at the inverted modes, we actually get a look at a brand new level. We kind of got a glimpse of this in the reveal trailer, but I believe this is the carnival level. We can see a giant skull in the background. We can see these weird blocks with faces. We can see a giant inflatable cat in the back. We can see this ghost flying up and down, and we've seen the clown skin that Crash can get. So my theory is, yes, this is either a carnival level or it's more of a Day of the Dead kind of level, which I had said in the original reveal trailer. Either way, I'm super excited to explore this world because it looks just a ton of fun. And that is kind of everything in the brand new gameplay reveal trailer, but we also have some more information coming directly from Toys for Bob and Activision. So as I mentioned right back at the beginning of the video, I said Tropy is more than likely going to be the main villain here, and we're going to see Crash, Coco, Cortex, and even Dingodile probably team up to try and stop him. And the reason I say that is because in the press release it says this: fans can play as Crash or Coco on their journey to save the multiverse, and new playable characters, including the fiendish Neocortex and Dingodile, will emerge to provide an alternative perspective on our hero Bandicoot's quest to defeat their nefarious nemesis. And if you know Tropy, you know he's called Dr. Nefarious Tropy, so that kind of makes me feel like Tropy is going to be taking the main role as the villain here. I would assume that him and Uka Uka maybe push Cortex to the side near the beginning of the game, and that is why we are playing as Cortex. Also, going back to those PlayStation exclusive skins that I mentioned and showed off earlier in the video, it has been confirmed that those are exclusive to PlayStation until no earlier than December 31st, 2021. So Xbox users, unfortunately, if you're like me, we won't be getting our hands on those anytime soon. Also, going back to the inverted mode, this is what Toys for Bob officially has to say about it, because it is in fact being developed by Beanox, who of course worked on Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, and they say inverted mode, this bizarre take on levels takes the concept of mirror mode and phase shifts into an entirely new dimension, giving players alternative perspectives, sound effects, music, and in some dimensions, extra additional transformations to the gameplay experience. Players will be able to master every world all over again by replaying in inverted mode, earning bumper berries instead of wumper fruit, with opportunities to rack up even more rewards. So no doubt there's going to be an awesome looking skin, and in order to get it, you're going to need to play through all of these inverted modes, and from some of the gameplay we got, it does look like these might be a bit of a challenge on top of the already challenging levels. So there you have it. That is the brand new gameplay trailer that was revealed yesterday during the PlayStation State of Play. We got a ton of stuff here, and no doubt I probably missed something in the trailer, so if I did and you happen to notice something that I didn't, then let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know what you think of Tropy and Uka Uka's design. Are you happy with them? Do you think, like I do, that Tropy is indeed the main villain here and he's going to push Cortex to the side? What do you think of some of the new worlds and destinations we're going to be traveling to as Crash and Coco? Are you excited to play as Dingodile in his gameplay? And out of all the skins that we've seen here, which one gets you most excited? Apart from all of that though, if you did enjoy this video, then click that like button, and if you aren't already, subscribe. There's going to be a ton more Crash Bandicoot 4 content leading up to the launch, as well as when the game launches. I'm going to be doing a full playthrough of the game. I'm going to be showing you guides on how to get all those skins. I'm going to be doing guides on all the inverted modes. It's going to be a good old time, and hopefully you'll stick around for it. If you'd like to stay up to date with myself, you can follow me over on Twitter at @IamMisterBo. We also have a Discord channel you can join as well, link to that in the description below. With all of that out the way though, thank you very much for watching and for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully I will catch you in a future video, and as always, take care. Bye bye.